All right. Well, does anyone have any public speak while we wait another 2 minutes to see if Peter is coming? Anything notable going on?
I can try. So I'm on the EDIC committee. It's the economics group. And I put on the agenda arts as an economic vehicle going forward, because ECA is throwing money to the artists, and that's great. It wasn't meant to stimulate the economy. It was just meant to sort of be a relief thing that sort of evolved. But I was sort of planting the seeds that, you know, when this thing sort of evolves and gets better or safer or different, that we could perhaps have content, build content. So come the spring, that there's a series of events. You know, Art Walk happens once a month. Why can't we have something every Friday night? You know, and why can't we have just a bunch of series events that makes Easthampton sort of more on the map, so that would be the best economic engine for the restaurants, as opposed to taking sidewalk spaces and that kind of stuff. If we could just stimulate, like, so Apollo's best summer was when the Bear Fest happened, right? So clearly the businesses did well by drawing people. So I just had a conversation with them about trying to make connections in the business community to the arts community. So we have all these different committees doing all these different things. And now that I'm on a couple of committees, they're talking about the same things, but they're not talking to each other. So that's just part of the public speak is, can we have our ear to the ground? Obviously we will, because I'm part of the other committee, but to do something to fill the voids. So Easthampton has some series of events throughout the spring or summer, because that would be, you know, obviously great for the arts community, but it would also just be great for the economics of the bookstore, the restaurants, you know, blah, 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 blah. So just putting it out there that ECA is going to have some content coming out, and then they're going to have to focus on the new thing, because we don't have any new items on the agenda. It just went to be like artist grant funds. So I don't know how the two of us can work together to achieve a better arts future. So just, it's sort of like planting a seed. You know, I know that we're not really an events-based organization, nor are we a fundraising type organization. I mean, I don't know what the organization is. Can this organization find something that fits in with the concept of what they're doing? That's all. She's mute.
Yeah, we're a grant-making organization. That's what we do. We disperse funds.
As well as having the ability to host your own events.
We can do that, but it's not a requirement. Our requirement is to disperse funds.
Correct.
I'd like to raise my hand, but I don't know how.
Go ahead.
So we have the capability in our scope of power to do anything and everything that we want to do that pertains to arts and cultural in Easthampton. That's if the group wants to.
Correct.
So we have that.
Oh, sorry, Rachel. I didn't realize you were still talking.
That's okay, and I understand. I think what you're saying, Casey, is having an event that involves many towns and all of the businesses and many makers and doers from all over, because that's what Bearfest was. Correct. And historically, I look back through the grants, and they funded most of it through the Cultural Council at the time. So it's an interesting venture. It takes a lot of organizing.
Correct. And I'm just saying that obviously this committee is sort of new, right, with the players that are here. It's open to suggestion. You know what I mean? It's whatever we want to do as a committee. And I was just sort of putting it out there. If somebody has some energy or knows somebody who's got some energy that wants to do the work. Rachel and I talked about this Windows project, but neither one of us had much at the time. It looked like we had time, and then also neither one of us had time. So it's finding a source or not doing anything. You know what I mean? It's up to us to know the parameters of what the scope of what the arts community could be going forward.
Louise, you want to go ahead? You're muted.
Yeah, every day. I mean, yeah. First question, Rachel, are you on a phone or on a laptop?
I'm on a laptop, but no one can see me.
Yeah, no, I know that. Okay, click on participants, and at the bottom it says raise hand, lower hand, and stuff. Just, that's how. Okay, more pertinently, I'm trying to remember what I just had a couple of reactions to Casey's suggestion. And the first one is that we don't know what the hell spring is going to look like. We're half a year into this, the other half March. Okay, we'll be, maybe the restaurants will make it through the winter. Maybe nobody will be dining in. I think very few are. Schools have just had to go all remote in Easthampton. And I just think we need to stay very open. And then the second thing on the schools, I'm still confused on ECC, ECA. Are you talking about Pasqualina's committee or something else?
I'm talking about the city's arts committee, of which Pasqualina is an employee of. It's not.
That's the only, yeah, that's the only way I knew how to identify it, because to find our own minutes, I can't look for Easthampton Cultural Council because the, the list on the council page calls us something else, and I'm just about separating them out. So thanks.
I'd like to say something to that. We are now officially the Easthampton Cultural Council. I can't speak. We have, our new name has been approved. Our administrative code has gone through as of Thursday night. And moving forward, we should be listed on the city's website as Easthampton Cultural Council.
Thank you, Rachel. I didn't realize we weren't, and on that sort of thing, I give up.
Yeah,
we had been renamed.
I mean, everything when I joined, which is, I started joining over a year ago, and it was all in the name of the ECC.
Yeah, we were the grants subcommittee officially for a long time, but it's like there's a whole history we're just not going to get into. But we are now officially the Easthampton Cultural Council.
Well, do we have champagne? I mean,
yeah, like,
sorry.
So
I'm done.
Can I say that one of the things that I'm discovering about ECA is that the committee members, like myself, still don't know like the whole mission statement and the policies and the goals of what they are. They're still working on them. And I also, like Tracy said, we're a grants initiative, committee. And it's like, yep, that is our obligation and fulfillment. I'd like to know what other like parameters and goals and direction that this group wants to go in. So I'm new to this, and I just don't know enough about the committee and the goals and the responsibilities. So it's, I guess, part of it needs to be an education of what we're trying to do. And if I suggest things that don't make sense, it's because I don't understand what the objective totally is with the group.
right. So the short one, that's appropriate public speak. And two, I guess I should send you and Louise materials that I have that are about who we are and what we do as a committee. And that includes, as Rachel mentioned, we have the option to do sort of council sponsored projects, which would be like the window dressing that you and Rachel discussed. But generally, I mean, I think things are a little different now that we have reimbursement, now that we've moved on from reimbursement-based funding. So we have a little more, ideally a little less time focused on the paperwork end of things, that we might have a little freedom to do council-sponsored projects. But generally, at least in my few years on the committee, it's been, we've mainly just been like churning through the grants, and to the extent that someone has an extra bandwidth, it has been spent on like getting us a website, establishing us as the Easthampton Cultural Council, and sort of a couple little proposed projects that haven't gone anywhere. But to the extent that you have the energy or want to recruit someone who has the energy to like really get behind a council sponsored project, that's lovely. I am not up for it. I'm up for like, yeah. And so anyway, so that is an answer. That is a partial answer to your question. Anybody else, or should we move on to the minutes?
Sure.
All right. Minutes time. Has everyone looked at the minutes, or do we need to take a minute to do that? I can't screen share them because I can't do that right now.
Sorry, Lauren, did the
Yes.
second half come in of the
Second
minutes?
half
'Cause
has not come in because I totally forgot until just, well, 45 minutes ago that I had them. So
I'm just asking because I had to miss the last meeting.
yeah, I will try to get those out ASAP to everyone. So maybe tonight while I'm after this meeting, I'll sit and play with them.
Right. So I guess the minutes we're referring to right now then are the July 7th minutes. You didn't, I mean, you'll see the minutes when they come out, Louise, but you didn't miss much. We talked about the community input survey a little more.
I think I'll just put it down now and then I'll stop trying. I think there was some question about me being offered or taking, being assigned liaison to, and that's the only bit that I'm off, or that's the bit that I'm asking. I was piecing it together. My name didn't turn up, and whenever we get to that on the agenda, I've got.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right. So the minutes for July 7th, 2020. Does anyone have any proposed revisions or concerns with their completeness?
I don't have them in front of me, but I didn't see anything that I didn't agree with when I saw them previously. So I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay.
Do we need a note in here that we ended abruptly because the city council needed the Zoom account? I don't, or is that not necessary?
I think that we should have it in there. I don't know if I have the minutes.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to. That's not gonna work. I was like, look, they're on my phone. I think they got emailed earlier today. They end after item 4. So I guess if Sean, if it's possible to revise the minutes to just add a note. Maybe you weren't even at this. No, you were at this meeting. Just add a note that said, you know, meeting ended prematurely based on
Time.
schedule, something like that.
Technical reasons.
Yeah. Just so it makes sense that we only got to item 4. Thanks. And then with that revision in place, I move to approve them.
Second.
I second.
All right. And all those in favor?
Yes.
Great. Anyone opposed?
Mm.
Terrific. Okay. Where are we next? Hold on. I was looking at the minutes. If anyone has the agenda up right now, August agenda. Review liaison grantee contact, call for art, community input. Okay. Has anyone been in touch with any of their grantees?
Yes. I spoke with Amy Junquist, and she said weather related, too hot to get to it. She's got the material. She's ready to go. Just the time hasn't been good. I will talk to Tracy on Thursday, and I will ask her. I'm not familiar with the project or with the, and then I don't know Gala Roots and Valley Rhythms. I don't know who they are, and not sure I can get contact information. Oh, there's a contact name, but I don't know if I have contact information for them.
Oh. You know what would also be useful if we can is if we just got you her application so you knew what her project was. I could put that on, I'll put that on my to-do list, and I'm sorry you do not have that.
I wouldn't have had time to deal with it anyhow.
Great. To-do list, okay. Give liaison apps. Okay. And then on the issue of grantees, just did anyone go to the spreadsheet and highlight grantees that they're willing to part with? I know we assigned some to Casey in a meeting, but I think we were supposed to leave some open for Louise. I can take a minute to try to find the chart in my phone in a second if no one else has it in front of them.
It appears to me as if
I have it.
name is filled. 1 through 28 is filled. Are there more applicants?
No,
No.
Go ahead, Rachel.
When we approve grants for the year, we split them up between us, so we each have about an even number that we follow through with and keep track of and answer questions for.
Right.
Does that make more sense? So these are the applicants from last year who would be doing projects this year, and we each have, there were 7 of us, so we each have around 4.
Right. Yeah, now we should have around 4, but I think, so it looks like Sean highlighted Roger Ticknell.
Right.
Yeah.
Who can be, so that is now that's for you now, Louise. And Tracy, do you have anyone you're willing to give up? You're muted.
All right, I'm trying to look at the sheet, so hold on.
One of your applicants, Elizabeth McDuffie, has just put out an issue of Meat for Tea I saw online.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we put something out in the spring before everything got shut down, and so they've been, you know, they had started doing it, so. Sorry, can you, Florence, since you have access to it, I have to figure out where it is in my.
Can I just tell you who you have?
Yes,
Is that
that's what I was
easier?
gonna ask.
Okay, you have Allison Murchie for Unbuttoned. You have Doris Madsen.
Doris is
already-
done, she did
already
hers in
did hers.
February.
That's not a good one. You have Meat for Tea. You have Gather Here, Massachusetts. Which
That's that singing thing?
I think
And
so.
someone needs to follow up with her.
Okay. So do you want to do them, Louise? I haven't touched them at all.
Sure. Sorry, I can't find my spreadsheet. I had it open earlier today. So yeah,
Okay.
that's why I'm distracted. If Lauren, can somebody send me the names of these 4 or whatever after
Yeah,
repeat them?
I'm trying to do a lot of things right now, but someone can. So far we've given
Yes.
you Roger Ticknell and Gather Here, Massachusetts. And all right, and that seems fine. All right, good.
Sorry, that first name was Watcher.
Roger?
Yeah, Roger Ticknell, Tinckknell.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we can continue talking about contact with grantees. Thank you for permitting that detour. Okay, so Casey, we talked about yours.
Yep.
Great.
You?
I should follow up with Maria Jose Jimenez and see how she's going to handle her collaborative poem about Easthampton. Or did we vote on a modification for her? We did not yet. I should follow up with her. That's my update on my liaison contacts. Has anyone gotten a specific, well, does anyone else have any other contacts with their liaison to talk about?
I have one of yours. John
Great.
Root contacted me. And he is going to do his edible plant walk on September 12th at 1 p.m. at Mountain View Farm.
September 12th of this year?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Cool. In a socially distant, responsible way?
Well, that's what they do there. I have a share at the farm.
Okay.
Something screwy just happened to my spreadsheet. I'm looking at it on my phone. I had
just
Dan
found it and joined in.
I had Dan Russell and Paul Sticka, and now they're assigned to Louise, and I'm assigned Cassandra Holdren, who I wasn't. Did I edit this somehow and switch it around?
Yes.
I just tapped on one little thing and it all shifted. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever that is not accurate anymore.
I'm fixing it.
Okay. Did I do that or did something else do that?
It didn't adjust on my document, so you don't have administration.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
he did it. It's okay. I fixed it.
Thank you.
Okay. I still need Paul Sticka. He's assigned to
I
Louise.
already did. Hang on. It's fine. Is anyone else echoing?
I guess we're all not muted.
Sound is good to me.
Okay.
I fixed it.
I see.
Oh,
Thank
no
you.
more echo. Yes. All right. So he's doing his edible plant walk.
Okay. Great. Thank you for talking to my grantee.
He wrote to us. I do have one thing to add to this agenda item. Any of you that have grantees that live in Easthampton, it would be great if we could email them a link to the survey, the community input survey. It's for residents, but I imagine some of the grantees are that.
Okay, the only one who's not that I know that Trevor isn't and Lyra Music isn't. So on my folks.
Yeah. I can pick at most of the ones that are residents. But if you know or have questions about yours, that's an easy answer. And if we could send them a link, it would be great.
All right. Anyone else on grantee contact? No. All right. What about call for art and community input? Rachel, how's that looking?
We have a few submissions of art, and I've had some phone calls asking questions. Maybe I should have put a harder deadline, but I didn't. So it's sort of, since it's a rolling deadline, people are taking their time. But I do have a few submissions that one of them came in today. I'm happy to share them. And I have spoken with some business owners, some building owners about using their windows. And they are into it, but I think it needs a little more fine tuning.
In what way, and is there any way we can be useful in that fine tuning?
I need to have more submissions to present to them and say, do you want this in your windows?
Okay.
When you say submissions, you want samples of the art for them to sort of see and approve?
If you take a look at the call for art, which is on our website, it has a specific form and it asks for photos.
Okay.
Digital images.
Correct.
Because I talked to Pat Crutchfield, who was supposed to be teaching that workshop with Robert to show at Robert Floyd's car, and she was into it. I didn't know where to send her.
We have a call for art on our website.
Okay.
Please refer her to that, easthamptonculturalcouncil.org.
Okay. Oh, I'm talking to her tomorrow, so.
Great. It's very clear. And so far we have 70 answers to our survey, 70 responses. And to that end, we can do this survey through mid-September, because our new grant opening date is October 1st.
Did we put a deadline in the initial blurb about the survey? Maybe nobody reads it anyway.
I changed it.
Yeah, you did. Okay. Okay, good.
Yes.
And so we can look at that at our, do we need to set our priorities now or no? I guess we can do that at our next meeting because we just have to do it before. Okay. Love it.
Everything is shifted back. October 1st is the new September 1st.
Okay. Great. I think that brings us to agenda item 4, unless anyone else has anything to say about grantee contact for call for our community input. And agenda item 4 is community input survey / local priorities revised timeline. So Rachel, do you have more to say about that, or is it just that everything has been pushed back a month?
No, it's just that. But I do wonder, are we going to host a workshop for the application?
Oh, right. In previous years, Louise and Casey, in previous years, we have done a workshop for applicants who are considering applying for grants, and
I attended one of them, and it was actually very helpful. So, I would recommend some effort to try to do that again, but this is a new world, so I don't know how, you can get content to applicants.
So I can host it on Zoom with a live application, probably. We could be there, as many of us who are able to.
yeah.
Could you then also make it available to people who are applying to see what the 45-minute, whatever program you put together is taped and then available for them to watch in case they had questions and answers? I mean, last year you nailed it. You went to each website, click this, click this, click this. It was very self-explanatory. You really did a good job of like answering people's questions. Could we tape that and have that on the website with the application?
I think if you use Facebook Live, and you can can you match Zoom meetings to Facebook? I think it's being
Grace is
done.
already shaking her head.
In music, I know in music, there's the Luthier's open mic, and it's on Zoom, but it's also on Facebook Live, and Facebook Live automatically records it and posts it.
It has to do with, I don't
Someone
think that we
else has
can
to
do it, Peter, I don't think we can do it because it has to be through this.
No, it doesn't.
No? Okay.
No, because we're not going to be in an official meeting. It doesn't have to be a cultural council meeting per se. It can just be a workshop for the application.
But if it is, Rachel, I mean, I'm agreeing with what was said. I attended last year's as well, and it was really good and really useful. And since most things are being recorded and taped, and they're available to Easthampton media and more people, like that's where they might naturally go or who they might naturally connect, wouldn't it be possible to use that facility and have it hosted there, recorded as this meeting is being recorded, even if it's not an official meeting?
Louise, that is an interesting idea. We couldn't do it as a public meeting. We could only do it as a workshop that we're recording because it's not a public building. But the idea of recording it is certainly a good one because it could be used in the future as well.
Yeah.
And to that end, I could ask the director of Easthampton Media if we could go in there and do that. I don't know how many people actually want to go in there and do that.
I'm sorry, Rachel. I wasn't thinking of in person. I mean, that world is kind of gone. I was just thinking of having your Zoom presentation, which would be excellent. And I even thought that when you had all the slides up, last year before the virus, that like, wow, this is, screen share, that this would be great to be on Zoom and available for everybody at any time. All I'm saying is that, so I was saying something a little more simple, that if it was just sorted out with Easthampton Media, that the Zoom was recorded and it was hosted there, because they host other things that are not official council meetings.
Oh, sure. I just want it to be good technically if it's going to be something that's going to be used in that capacity.
I think we could do something on Zoom using PowerPoint or something, and having you run through the slides and all of everything like you did live last year.
Yeah, we went through a live application, so it
Yeah.
was easy.
Well,
I see that as simpler. Yeah.
I happen to own, or not own, I have to rent my own Zoom account. So we could do that, record it, and then I think we can then just upload it to either the website or share access with it.
So
Do you have Zoom Pro?
we could talk about.
I don't have Zoom Pro.
And we could figure out the technical aspects.
Yeah.
If you don't have Zoom Pro, you're limited to the number of minutes and the number of people.
No, I have the next level up. I don't have the high level. I have the beyond basic. I pay money every month.
But I do agree that it's useful to have the recording anyway, so people can look at it when they're at home. And if we want to talk about the technical aspects.
And kill my dog.
Okay. We can talk about this out of meeting. It's technical and administrative. Right. It's something just to think about.
And timeline wise, we would want to do it obviously before October 1st, when we can start.
No, we historically do it like a week after the application opens so that they have access to it. Great. I like them to leave with a finished application.
Okay, right. Then they can submit them.
Yes, I encourage them to come with a blank page, and they fill in the answers while they're there.
Okay, then we have even more time to think about this, but I think it's a good idea to continue to do it, and it's true we can deal with the technical end of it. And it sounds like Tracy's idea will probably work offline. So great. Tracy, where we came at was, if we're doing this, we're doing it in mid-October. All right, good. Anything else on the timeline, Rachel? Item 4, revised timeline. All right. Great. Number 5 is public art. Casey, Rachel, maybe that's where
So
you're
I think that was what Casey was talking about. I want to keep going with this Windows project, but also see this upcoming year as a really good time to cultivate public art in general. We have so many walking spaces, so many good outdoor spaces, and historically we are tasked to even find artists and match them with places that would work well together for public art. I'd love to see more of that. We can go to an artist and say, hey, have you considered doing a mural? We have grants that pay for that. We could help you find a space. And if we know building owners or shopkeepers who want to have art in or outside of their spaces, we can hook them up. Sometimes the administrative side of it is difficult for entities to master. We have the facility to bring them together and to also add some funds to that. They apply, but we are encouraged to sort of help them flesh out the details. I would like that.
So an example is, I actually left the state for the first time since way back when. I visited my mother in the Catskills, very social distance and stuff like that, woods. But the town of Tannersville has that Rip Van Winkle as their sort of like motif. And there was a mural on the side of the building, on one building, and there was a couple little pop-up images of him on other buildings. And so that was just a little art project that they did. I don't know who did the funding, but it was just clever to like walk through town and be like, oh, look at this. It unified the city, that on a theme. So I think that's kind of what Rachel's talking about, is that, public art is going to be important. And if we can help facilitate it, there's tons of talented people. And sponsorship potentially is there, or whatever funds. If we can steer somebody to apply for something that we're going to approve as a grantee, then just the conversation needs to be started to say, like, that a logo you did on the side of the Whiskers building or whatever, we could throw you some money if you do this thing here, so it's sort of maybe up to us to sort of maybe look at people we think would be a good fit for.
Yes, we can do that.
That's Amy Junquist is the banner queen, right? She's amazing. Hey, listen, we can throw you another bone. We got this space, or, I mean, you guys know people. I know.
There's an amazing artist in Holyoke. She's just insanely talented. I see her stuff on Instagram, and her husband makes art too. I'll send you guys the link. I've been thinking about asking her because I think she would make an amazing muralist here if we were
What's her
lucky
name?
enough. I have to take a look and find her. When I find it, I will share it.
This brings up a little bit of an interesting scenario. I'm not sure if this committee recruited in the past, as opposed to simply put out a blank application and said, sift through, we'll take what we have. I mean, if we can, it may be new to this committee to say, can we target a few people that we really like and ask if they're available and for submissions? And if
yes,
You know, if we can dictate dollars evenly or higher or lower, you know, maybe there's an opportunity to do something really cool.
I would also, I think I mentioned before that Hadley has like signs like haiku along the bike path, which is cool. And I think it would be great if Easthampton could do something along the rail trail. And maybe we would have to talk to the rail trail committee before we ask people to pitch things along the rail trail. And I would be happy to do that if we think that is something that would be interesting or like an interesting public art venue. But yes, Casey?
It is, and that would require a lot of conversation because they have had a lot of hurdles and challenges
Okay.
with public art along the bike path.
Oh, all right. Well,
But
that
it's
is-
certainly worth a conversation.
right.
There's a market that goes up and down that path. So it's sort of like, we don't want to necessarily create a new market that says we want people to go to a gallery or indoor space. So it's sort of a venue that is worth exploring, and it may be that we kick a bunch of tires and don't get anywhere because it is tough to do public art and monies for structures and stuff like that. But if we can look at it and try to approach it because it's a venue, you know, it's a market of people there, and people aren't going in buildings, so it's
Right.
worth pursuing.
It is worth pursuing, but it's a venue that can be dangerous. So if anything flies with wind or gets hit, it's a
But-
liability with the city, and that's how they see it.
Correct. But Rachel, projections are not. So I really think that that's a strong.
Oh, I'm very into that.
Yes, that's a strong direction that we should go into. Is ask a projectionist to get involved. You know what I mean? Get a team involved that it's so money, but it's easy. You know what I mean? There's just, it's projection. So that should just be, think about things like that could be facilitated.
So as far as I'm concerned, we're doing the projections, but we're doing them when the days are shorter. And we are still working on that. And we are looking for funds to pay this projectionist that exists.
They can apply for grant money.
Correct. And I will tell them that. I was thinking public art murals don't fly away. I know that the bears are all around town, but I'm also interested in sculptures that can live outside, but that are built in a way that is safe in terms of all of the reasons that I listed previously. It blows away, someone drives into it, those things. And there are very few people who can do that. Yeah, one of them is we have someone who forges metal. They can do that. But a lot of it is having it be well mounted and able to be maintained. So that's why murals are very appealing.
And for murals, do we have any is it really just like you need the building owner's permission, or are there spaces that are ripe for that, or buildings where we already know people want it? Tracy?
I don't know if it's right for it, but I can say that I would love to see a mural or a projection put on the Great Green Wall that is next to, yes, that is next to the forest on Main Street. I watched in horrors that went up and was like, oh my God, what is that?
Mm.
So repurposing it would be lovely.
So we would talk to the owner of that building. We need permission from the building owners. I do know that Keystone Mill would love murals. I know that Abandoned Brewery would love mural. I'm sorry, the echo is killing me. But that is something that we can also put into our local priorities. If it is something that we think warrants our energy and time, and if it should be a bigger focus for our funds next year, because maybe we don't have a lot of actual events and we want to have a lot of public art that is accessible.
Agreed.
And some of that could depend a little bit also on the responses we get to the community input survey, right? Because I also think that like maybe a lot of them are going to say what I want is public art.
They do.
Okay,
A
that's
lot of them are
very
sick of
reasonable.
Zoom and they're not going to go into any small spaces.
Right. So to the extent that we can list or like pursue spaces so that people know where they could potentially put their art, I guess we should start doing that.
Yes,
now.
and I'm happy to keep doing that, but also think we could think about for our priorities, if we do decide that this is a lens or something we want to pursue, we can list that as a priority. Our one of our funding priorities is public art and murals,
Mhm.
and also projections, so that people know that if those are projects that they're interested in, that they should apply to us for funding.
Who owns the land that the gazebo's on? Is that town land?
Yes.
So would that be a place to, I mean, that's the obvious place to put public art, public sculptures or something. There's already that fountain that's not doing anything.
That's a tough spot because people can't cross the streets there.
Yeah, but you just get
So they
so many
see
people,
it.
so many people driving by and looking at it. You get plenty of exposure. More exposure there than anywhere else in town I can think of.
So maybe there may be a conversation of a structure that's built there to expose art, or I mean, it's definitely they just don't, it's not walkable. That's all they're concerned about.
Right.
Louise?
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking though, if people are driving around the roundabout, don't we want them to be looking at the road and not at the public art? Sorry.
True, it's true.
Oh, I agree with Elise.
Get off your phone, look at the road.
No, yeah.
It's unfortunate because that is a band shell. It is in the center of town and it's almost unusable.
There are designs to eliminate the street in front of it, and make green space in front of Old Town Hall, but that's down the road. Liberty Street is next, the elementary schools, and then this thing is 5 to 10 years away.
At the very least, 5, 10 years away. So.
All right, anything else on public art? Rachel or anyone? Great. All right. So go ahead. Sorry, someone was talking.
I was going to say, if you know muralists that you think make great work, send some stuff to us. Let's look at it. I'm going to send you guys a name. Look at her stuff. Check it out. Let's see if this is something we want to work towards.
We could have a contest to paint the gazebo. I mean, it's white. We can
like
do
if
better
we're
than
allowed to
that.
paint the gazebo. Yeah.
Well,
Nikki,
if we're gonna,
We don't own the, I mean,
Nikki sponsored that to get it refurbished. There'd be a conversation about changing it because somebody paid money to make it look the way it is.
I'm just thinking about the colorful architecture all around the world, and we just got a boring white gazebo. I mean, that would be something to put up a prize and let people bid on it. I don't know, just a thought.
Does anyone know who owns the green wall?
It's a company that owns one of the businesses there. They own the whole building.
You can
Okay.
go on mass properties.
Yeah, I know that. I just don't know what the address is, so I don't.
Is that Banus or is it Moriarty? Do you know, Rachel?
It's not Pizzatronic. I have to look.
I don't know.
I would have to look. I can find out. I can ask Chuck Connor.
Yeah.
It's like I'm happy to creep on land records, and
I'm already there.
okay.
Yeah.
And
It's not
I just don't know where
creeping.
it
It's
is.
actually, creeping is when you go on someone's Facebook account and look at things. Like mass land records, that's public property.
Yeah, it's delicious. You're right. It's not creeping if it's public. If it's a public record.
Public
Thanks,
record. Here we
So I feel like we should at least reach out to that person and just see if they're interested in, if they're open.
Remillard. I found it.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I don't know who they are either.
If you email me their name, I will figure out. I will send them a letter and ask them. And then also I'm going to reach out to the rail trail and just make them tell me why it's never going to work to have public art on the rail trail.
Great.
Any other takeaways or action items from?
Public art on the rail trail just done without permission. There's been lots of Black Lives Matter stuff written all over them. Plus, you could paint murals on the, or paint something on the lanes themselves.
That's true.
So they need to, define their stuff better.
Right. Well, no one, yeah, right now, nobody has said no. So. All right, anything else? I think, Rachel, you said you're sending us that mural list you're interested in. We're talking about maybe making this a council priority, but we'll also have a little more information on that when all of the community input surveys that say they want public art come in. Anything else on this? Rachel, did I cut you off?
Nope.
Okay. All right. And then Peter, think more about the gazebo. And then 6 is new members. Casey, Louise, I have for 2 meetings now said that I will send you information appropriate to new members. I will really do it this time. But again, welcome. And now you have grantees. Congratulations. Rachel, is there anything else you want to say?
I want to know if Mass Cultural Council got in touch with Louise or Casey via email.
I don't believe so. I can look.
Louise?
Oh.
Did anyone email you? Okay, so
Sorry, I was muted. I've just been assigned them today, so I don't think they would have.
No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase the question. We get email from Boston from Mass Cultural Council, and you should be receiving them. And I'm curious if anyone has emailed you.
And you're right, I did see that when I read some of the introductory stuff that Lauren sent me a couple of months ago now, and it was a lot to. You did send me. You sent me a couple of links that I should go through, and I.
Oh.
No,
wow.
Rachel.
All right, great. I don't remember doing that.
No history.
Okay.
No history.
I'll email you, but sorry.
Okay, so I heard Casey also. They haven't emailed you. They're very behind. This should have all happened in June. And because they don't know their budget for the upcoming year, apparently they've just pushed everything else off. And I'm going to get in touch with them and see when they're going to start emailing you, because I put your email addresses on their list. And I want to make sure you start receiving those emails. And that you also have access to our toolkit that lives online at the Mass Cultural Council website.
Sounds good. Thank you. I've received no emails, and you're saying I don't have access to the toolkit might explain some of the confusion when I was trying to follow the links that Lauren had sent me, and yeah, so that would
I
be
can
good.
email you both the old username and password. They should have changed in June, but they haven't. I'm going to email them to you both. And I'm also going to follow up with Mass Cultural Council and see that they plan to start emailing everyone in the group. They're just working on a very different timeline. By now, we should have heard how much our allocation is for grant funds, and we don't know that.
All right. Anything else on new members? New members, do you have any broad questions that we could possibly answer in an
Maybe-
efficient way in this meeting?
A question for Tracy. Is that a lamp, the knife print behind you from Lamson and Goodenow?
This is, we got it up at Turner's Falls and at Lute, and I'm pretty sure it's either a Lunt or Lamson Goodenow stamp of knives.
Yeah, my brother's restaurant uses those as lamp covers.
Ah,
That's
Oh,
why I
cool.
recognize it.
so.
All
I
right.
like to say if you're not well behaved.
All right, new business. Rachel, you already said that council accepted our administrative code, and we have a new name and our own code and an independent existence, which is exciting and kind of a long time coming. Any new business? Anybody? Cool. All right. Then let's adjourn. And last meeting, one of the meaningful things that happened last meeting, Louise, was that we decided we were going back to our regularly scheduled meeting time, which is the third Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. And it's been erratic since the pandemic, and there's sort of no reason to be that erratic. So that is what we're doing, which means our next meeting is September. Does someone have a calendar in front of them?
Third Tuesday?
Third Tuesday.
15.
September 15th at 6:30 p.m. And we'll circulate the agenda with the Zoom link, before that. But that is the next time we will see each other. Slap it on the minutes. And
Okay.
Okay.
See you later.
See you later.
We're adjourned.
We're adjourned.